Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's VC Task Force Gary's Picks event for investors and startups. My name is Joel Rosenberg, Director of Business Development and Strategy for VC Task Force. VC Task Force is an organization where the venture community comes together to address critical issues, provide workshops, and other events for the benefit of the venture and entrepreneurial communities. VC Task Force provides access to an extensive ecosystem of VCs, corporate VCs, and angel investors. You may ask questions anytime during the event, and time permitting, they will be answered live after today's interview. It is my pleasure to welcome Gary's Picks host, Gary Fowler. Gary is CEO and co-founder of GSD Venture Studios, an award-winning growth stage AI venture studio. Gary is also co-founder of the award-winning AI startup Yva.ai, as well as the investment firm DY Investments. Today, Gary will be interviewing special guest Rene Arvin, CEO of VoiceScript, an emerging technology leader of speech and next-generation court reporting software solutions. Mr. Arvin has held C-level positions with global technology leaders in AI, machine learning, speech, and security solutions, including Alcatel, Xylan, Packeteer, and others. His journey in legal technology began in 2014 as the head of product and market strategies for TranscribeMe, a pioneer in the integration of speech and crowdsourced transcription technologies for the court reporting, medical, and AI markets. The traditional court reporting industry is undergoing a rapid and forced transformation. VoiceScript software and SaaS solutions enable court reporting agencies to deliver new, better, and faster court reporting products and services, while dramatically reducing production costs and improving profitability. VoiceScript is a strategic supplier to 4 out of the top 10 court reporting agencies in the US, and the company is quickly gaining traction in the mid-market and with independent court reporters. Take it away, Gary.
Great to be here. Thanks, Joel. Thanks, Juna, and the entire VC Task Force team. My name is Gary Fowler, and as Joel said, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been doing startups for over 30 years, 2 unicorns, love artificial intelligence and quantum computing, because as we know, AI is the new electricity. We search the world looking for incredible startups that can make, as Steve Jobs said, a dent in the universe. And with that, I'd like to introduce Rene. So Rene, I got a question for you. How in the world do you went to school in Indiana at the Kelley School. How in the world did you move over you went to the Netherlands? Did you just wake up one day and say, oh, I'm going to go to Europe with Synoptics? Or how does that happen?
So I was already involved with Synoptics in the Boston area, and I had heard that there was a guy that couldn't find anybody that knew anything about networking at the time in Europe. And I thought, sounds interesting. So I ended up interviewing the guy and with the guy, and he offered me a job. And I ended up living in Holland off and on for about 15 years as a result of that with various companies.
Now, how was it?
It's great. The Netherlands is a great place. Europe is an awesome place. You know, I based in Amsterdam, I could be in and out of a capital city across Europe, you know, do business for a full day and actually be back home in the evening late. But so it was a fun place actually to do business.
Yeah, that's great. I lived in Russia myself for a while. I used to take weekend trips to Greece and Turkey and London. And it was 2 or 3 hours by plane, but it was incredible. So you did that. You went to NetEdge. You went to Xylan, and then how? Okay, you decide. Well, I'm going from the Netherlands to Calabasas, California.
Yeah. So I was offered the opportunity to run worldwide sales for Xylan, and I did that part-time or partly out of the Netherlands, and that became a real drag time-wise. And so I ended up moving to Calabasas and ran worldwide sales out of there.
Now, how does it work? You know, when you come into a company, why is it that VPs of sales only last 3 years? And I know that myself because I've seen it happen in my companies, and I've been, you know, senior VP of product and marketing and sales, and I've seen it. Why is it?
That is a great question. And when I look at my own LinkedIn history, I'm going, well, on average, it's been about 3.5 years per VP of sales gig. And I think one, I get tired of doing the same thing over and over again. You get to a plateau in a lot of cases with these companies. And if you're not the guy that's moving up the ladder, then you start looking for other opportunities. At the same time, companies plateau in terms of revenue, and they start questioning whether their VP of sales is the right guy to take them to the next level. That never happened to me, though, I will say. It was more the former.
Yeah, no, it's interesting how it happens, right? How, when my friend told me one time, so this was at HP, and I got 5 promotions. I took some time off doing startups and I got 5 promotions. And one of the things that was interesting is that you're either a goat or a hero. And if you're a hero, they're always trying to figure out how they can split your job up and to move it to other people. And if you're a goat, they're trying to figure out how to get rid of you, right?
That's right. And it's the same cycle, 0 to 0 every month and every quarter and every year, same thing.
And how was that? I mean, when you came into those months, you got over that month, you made your numbers. How did it feel that next week? When did you start to engage fully? Obviously you can't do it 100% all the time, but how long did you give yourself to recoup, to re-energize?
So there was no time, at least with a company like Xylab, because we went from the moment we had a product to sell, and then within 4 years, we went from 0 to $500 million in revenue.
Wow.
And so we were recruiting like crazy, selling like crazy. The interesting thing was that we did that $500 million in revenue, but we still only had under 10% market share. We were competing directly with Cisco at the time.
Wow. Interesting. Okay. So you move there, then you do Packeteer. So you go back and, so you start the stuff back, and you're going driven back over to the Netherlands and Europe again, right?
Yep.
And you did that for a couple of years. So how did you come down through? So you decided you moved to Stuart, Florida. What made you decide to do that?
Well, it was time to move back to the U.S. We had a house in Florida, in Stuart. We looked at a couple different other alternatives. There was Ann Arbor was an option, California was an option, and it was just in 2008. So it wasn't great timing to sell houses. We just decided we have a house. We just moved to Florida.
No, that's great. Florida, well, the house prices are going up a lot, aren't they, Rene?
Oh, yeah, it's crazy here.
Crazy. Yeah. Okay, so tell us a little bit about, where are you? So you went from, you're down in West Palm Beach. You did Voice Acuity. What happened with Voice Acuity? I know you were doing a partnership with Cobalt, right? So what happened to that? Is it still in existence, or did you merge it with?
No, we ended up merging that company. So it was really oriented around the call center space and analytics. And as you may know, that's a really crowded space, right? A lot of funding going into that. And we had excellent speech rec and NLP technologies, but we were already behind the 8 ball by the time we really put the pieces together. And so we were looking for the next level, which is really robotic chat bots, automated sales reps, and lead qualification, that sort of thing. So we were looking at building that type of technology with our own NLP. And we ended up finding an opportunity to merge with Omnibot, which is still around, based out of Germany. And so it was a great fit, taking our technology into the chatbot technology, robotic platform from Omnibot.
And how does it work when you merge like that? Do you get shares in that company? Do you get cashed out? How does it work?
No, it was all equity based.
Mm-hmm. How do you realize when can you realize have your exit with it? I mean, does it happen?
Yeah. So I left to start VoiceScript. I am playing a supporting role when they need me at Omnibot, but there won't be an exit until something happens on their side at this point, acquisition or otherwise.
Got it. Okay, so what made you decide to go down through and found VoiceScript? What happened there?
So I had started to learn about the legal court reporting market back in 2014, 2015 with TranscribeMe. TranscribeMe was an early pioneer of what is known as crowdsourced transcription. And there are companies like Rev and other companies at the same that were coming on board at the same time, but we were one of the early ones along with Rev. And what we built was a very sophisticated platform that manages workforce and automates an entire workflow from client uploading their first audio file all the way through to multiple steps of production to a final formatted transcript. And we tried to take that at the time, we tried to take that into the legal community. And this is when the market was just really starting to get a little frothy for digital court reporting versus stenography. But it was always just a toe in the water for most of these companies. And it was early days for speech rec. Speech rec, because we were integrating speech recognition as part of our technology suite and our workflow. And speech rec in those days was not quite accurate enough that you could take a human and edit it from the output from the speech rec. So we had a big learning curve there. And then 2.5 years ago, I got a call from a major tech player in the space, in the court reporting space. They were interested in putting together a joint venture. I built a whole business plan, business model. And in the end, that didn't go anywhere with that particular company. And we decided to go ahead and just launch the business ourselves.
And how is business today? What are you doing, and what kind of markets are you looking at? Is it regional, or is it US based, or where is it?
So we're a global technology company. We are already engaged with several different vendors and channel players in the court space outside of the US who are taking us into projects in Brazil, Sri Lanka, India, and a few other markets to start with. And we've got a few other partnerships that we're forming now. But our focus initially was the US market. In the US, it's roughly a $5 billion market, but it's a market that is just undergoing a rapid force transformation. There's no other way to explain it. CEOs don't want to do this transformation as quickly as they have to do it, but there's no choice. There's a huge shortage of stenographic court reporters.
Yeah, you don't even hear about steno. I remember before, and many years ago, they talked about stenographers. I haven't heard that term other than we've had discussions.
Right.
It just, and I remember my mom used to like the steno pads, right? The one that had the line down the middle, but you don't hear about it. So how long is this transition going to take from the archaic way to the new way?
So because it's being forced on two fronts, but the biggest front is that there is a dramatic shortage and it's getting worse and worse every year. And the market is now, the CEOs of these companies, both large companies and midsize, are making the commitment to move quickly to digital. Within the next 3 to 4 years, there will be as many or more digital court reporters than there are stenographers. And really in about 15 years, maybe 20, steno will be pretty much extinct.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And so how do you go to market? Do you look for partners? Do you look for governments? Do you look for what's the best way to get in? Because it seems like it would be, a relationship-oriented network to be able to get into those. How do you find that person in Brazil? That's the person, or Argentina or Chile, wherever, that can really pinpoint you in the right direction and make sure that you have the context to get in.
It really is a old school business model. It's based on relationships. These attorneys, the courts, the government agencies, they have relationships, oftentimes at a local level, with court reporting agencies. And they're the ones that hold those relationships. And it's almost impossible to break those. So if you want to sell solutions that end up in the hands of either a court or an attorney, you got to go through that channel. So all of our solutions are designed to benefit the court reporting agencies. The tools that we built for reporters are designed to make their reporters more efficient. And basically, and we've been modeling this out with a number of agencies now, every $1 spent on our technology today will generate somewhere between $4 and $10 in bottom line profit as an ROI back to those agencies. So, and at the same time, reporters actually have an opportunity. They're more efficient. They have an opportunity to earn more income. And then the folks that are actually doing the transcript production, they're also much more efficient. And even though the agencies are going to save money on the production of transcripts, the transcribers are going to earn more. So pretty much everyone in the food chain is benefiting from this.
No, that's great. And what countries, like, where do you see the opportunities in the top, top 3 places today? Where can you say, these are hot markets that are exciting? We need to win.
So right now, clearly the US it's roughly 50% of the entire global market. So we're going great guns to capture as much market share. And we think we have a shot at getting 20 to 30% market share here in the next 2-3 years. Then outside of that, there's a lot of emerging countries where World Bank and other organizations are funding court upgrades, technology upgrades in the court system. And in part, it's really to give more transparency to the legal systems. And so there are specific companies right now, both on the AV side for equipping courts with the technology, but then other solutions around court management solutions. And these companies they're the ones that are asked to bid for these large projects. So we're partnering with a number of those. So we anticipate becoming, it was not part of our original plan, but it looks like we are going to become a pretty significant player in delivering court solutions, or at least part of the court solutions. And then Western Europe is going through a very similar kind of scenario here as in the US with stenographers disappearing, and they need to migrate to digital as quickly as possible.
No, it sure makes sense. And what are your plans in terms of the company? What are your desires? Mergers, IPO? I mean, what's the future?
Interestingly, we've been approached by several of our larger clients already who have engaged and talked about potentially acquiring us at some point in the near term. It's way too early. We really are building a company that we feel can be a credible IPO within the next 3 years. And so that's where we're headed. And if you look at historically, a lot of those acquisitions happen as companies prepare for IPO. And so it's not outside the realm of possibilities that we would get acquired as well. There are a number of potential acquirers, both in the court reporting space, in the technology space, you look at Thomson Reuters and several others in that group. We're replacing technology that they currently sell into the court reporting market space. So will probably be of interest to them at some point in time.
No, that's great. Well, it's great you're getting your attention. It's great that you're in Stuart, Florida, not a bad place, and the taxes are right. People were in the valley here where I am today. They talk about how high the taxes are, and I tell them you should look at places like Florida, like places that have lower or no estate income taxes, because it surely makes a lot of sense. It'll pay your mortgage, I tell them, plus. So
yes.
No, it's very interesting. So what do you have for entrepreneurs out there? You've done this. You've gone from the corporate world, Rene. You've gone over to the startup world. What lessons have you learned? Coming out of a large company in the Netherlands and moving over to a startup can be a bit different and sometimes challenging. What have you found to be the differences, and how do you overcome them?
So if I look at, and I've been involved in several dud startups, and I've been involved in several that we've gone from 0 to $100 million, either went IPO or got acquired. So when I look at the difference between the duds and the successes, it's not the technology per se, although you have to have good leading edge technology. It's the team around it. And so when I look at the team that we've built here and that we're building here, we have an awesome mix of, one of our founders was head of Alexa development at Amazon. Several of our execs are highly experienced specifically from the court reporting industry for 20, 30 years. We've got an awesome CTO, so if you don't build the right team, and I see an awful lot of startup CEOs that try to do as much as they can on their own, try and keep as much of the equity in their own, cell within that spreadsheet cap table. You can't be stingy. You've got to bring people on. We've got a lot of people working at our company right now for far below market what they would normally be earning, because they're in this for the equity. They're in this as part of the team.
Yeah, no, you're right about it. They should have 15 to 20% in terms of an employee stock pool, because you need to incentivize folks around you. Hire people that are smarter than yourself, because you want to make them, you want them to help drive the success for the company. And the other thing is, you need to keep that positive attitude, right? There's one thing about, many cultures around the world talk about the glass being half empty and not half full. And so staying positive and, the self-fulfilling prophecy, if you will it into existence, it'll come. And sometimes we forget of the soft side of doing it. Sometimes you got to kick yourself and look yourself in the mirror and say, Rene, I know I can do it. It's been a tough week, but I'll do it again, just like I've done it. So it's fantastic. All right, closing thought, and how can people reach you, Rene?
So you can reach me at Rene, RENE, at VoiceScript.ai. Our website is VoiceScript.ai, and you can always catch us that way as well. Parting thoughts, just keep an eye on us. We're going to be a mover and shaker here in this industry, and we're going to have a lot of fun along the way. One of the things I wanted to mention earlier is that, I mentioned Xylan. Xylan, in fact, I got an email a couple of weeks ago from one of my ex-Xylan colleagues who was reminiscing about the great old days. Well, it was the hardest. It was really outside of this, and it was comparable in terms of hard work to get this done. But I had the most fun building that company at Xylan, and we have the same feeling here. We have the same opportunity here.
No, it's great. You're right about it. It's, believe in those dreams and they come through. And, hindsight's always 20/20. You always remember the good, but let me tell you, when you're working 20 hours a day, as I've had to do many times with the startups, 7 days a week, and you don't get a chance to really move. But that's life. That's the exciting and invigorating experience that you get into doing a startup. And it's not for everybody, but then if it was, everybody would be successful. And no, it's great. Thanks for being on the show today. I really appreciate your time, taking time out of your busy schedule. I'd like to thank all my audience for coming again to this show and our event today, because GSD presents and VC Task Force, it's incredible for the startups that are out there. We're encouraged, we're excited, because there's so much opportunity on this planet. And we want to every 2 weeks highlight the top startups in the world. And through Gary's Picks, we're doing that. I'd like to thank the entire VC Task Force team, Joel, June, and the entire team for making this show possible. And stay tuned, because we're going to have some more. Thank you. Joel?
Excellent. The opportunity.
Gary, Rene, thank you so much for being our special guest today. Gary, another fantastic interview. Very timely topic. It's always great to hear such a diverse audience and a group of startups. Really interesting. Really appreciate that. We will see our audience back here in 2 weeks on November 10th for the next Gary's Picks event. Until then, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you then. All right, now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.